is Randy? Don't bring anyone mother into this. Your mom in the fucking stand!
It was so funny when we were just talking about rodents when the mics weren't on.
That's right.
You realize that I was talking like I thought I was on.
Well, yeah.
You're like,
sorry.
we're not on.
Yeah.
You know, because I had gone into I'd started to tell the story as if I were broadcasting. Good call on that.
Because
I was about to make a fool out of myself.
I wanted to save it, you know?
Oh, is that because if I would have went through that whole story and you would have said, all right, we're going
to do it. You'd be like, dude, that was a good story.
I was in it.
I know.
I was in broadcast brain.
It's so funny how that becomes something you never considered before.
Yeah.
But now when you go to do people's podcasts or if you stop in a radio station and you're like, and then you see people nodding and you're like, do you hit record on this shit yet? And they're like, no. You're like, dude, I'm
come
stopping
on.
myself.
Yeah. I like being a professional broadcaster that I've learned how to do it myself.
Will you tell me, because I've actually wondered this, everyone knows WTF. It's like, it's especially the place they go to, hey, I want to get to know what the person's really like. You've had like every comic actor. Was it something where you had heard a podcast and then you went, oh, like I could do this?
I don't think so. I don't think I heard anything. I was just desperate and had done some radio before. I liked it. And I was just spiraling down a dark drain.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really listen to podcasts, but I knew that people did them. So when I lost my last job at the outlet that I was at, like at Air America doing a video thing, I asked my producer, I'm like, can you figure out how to do this? I mean, Corolla went right from radio, but then there was people like Kevin Smith and Jimmy Pardo, right? And
so were theirs already up and going though?
Right. There was a few of guys I knew.
Okay.
Right. And it wasn't that many. There were podcasts out there, but the guys I knew of were Corolla, Pardo, Jimmy Dore, and Todd Glass had a show. Kevin Smith's little empire. But outside of that, I think like Benson and Rogan and Hardwick, all those guys started around the same time as me or after me.
Okay.
And it was like just the Wild West. And it was at that time, man, we couldn't figure out how to make money. There was no, you couldn't, either you closed the gate on it and charged people, which was stupid because then you couldn't build your audience.
Sure.
Or you figured out some other shit. And we had this tiered donation thing where we'd just do a recurring donation, $5, $10, if you don't, $25. And then if you gave us like $250, I'd send you all this swag. So there was a point there at the beginning where my entire house was just envelopes. Like I'd made this mailing list, and it was just me, and I had a roommate because I was doing so shitty at that time, and she was helping me. We were mailing T-shirts.
Well, was that the time doing the donations thing when you began to realize how many people were listening? In other words, because of the level of donations? Like, when did you become aware of like, oh, there's actually like a lot of people?
It carried us for a while because none of us knew how to make money.
Yeah.
There was just no mid-roll. There was no real ads. I mean, I had Just Coffee, who I carried over, who, they charged, I charged them like $400 a month, and they gave me free coffee.
It's hilarious.
And then Audible was around just because we'd picked some of those up from the old radio days. But at that time, the donations sort of carried us. I mean, we got enough people that, held over from radio a little bit, but I didn't do politics anymore, but they still hung out. It was really only about a year or so ago where we realized that there were still people giving $10 a month. And we had to be like, hey, you really don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Because it wasn't a hidden charge or anything. They'd see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, what year is this that you started the show?
2009.
You know what? He looks so uncomfortable.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Are you uncomfortable in this chair?
Not
I can
really.
Get you a better one.
Not really.
No, you're just. Okay.
Do you want me to wheel that one?
The only thing I'm concerned about is whether I'm going to pull my earphones out. You know what I could do? Let's move this back, and I'll move in here.
That's
And then in case, like, one of you makes me laugh, and I go back, my headphones don't come off.
rip
Here's
off.
the thing.
And I feel like an idiot.
That's not going to happen.
It always happens. It always happens. So that's the story. Okay. I learned how to do this, and I never really thought I did it that well on radio. And but I don't have the greatest. I learned how to stop and pause and not too much. But I don't think I'm very good at classic broadcasting. But it doesn't matter if you make it your own, as you know.
You have your own thing going.
Yeah, and once you learn how to talk by yourself. It's that was a big breakthrough. That was the biggest breakthrough is when I had to guest host someone's radio show.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking 3 hours, dude, alone. but you had breaks, but back then you're only doing like you got 6-minute break each half hour, so you do like 10 to 12 minutes, so you're in your mind. But I just ramble, and it was so scary.
Did you give yourself a set list where you're like, I got to hit something?
A little bit, sometimes, but then I had to talk specifically about stuff. But one day, like it just clicked, and I was like, I can do this.
It's a great. I don't have to tell you, it's a great podcast.